This is the sound of 707 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, and it can be yours for around $60,000. This is the 2016 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. I'm Jay, and welcome to the latest episode of the Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews. As you can probably tell, I'm very excited to talk to you all about this car today. And before I really get into all the details, I want to thank San Leandro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram for letting me come on down and film today. So, the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. I'm sure you know so much about it and its Charger Hellcat sedan counterpart. Well, the Dodge Challenger was first revived back in around 2008, and, well, fortunately, it fully survived the Chrysler bankruptcy, and now, well, it is benefiting from the new Fiat Chrysler automaker itself. The interior has been redesigned, the overall build quality has been improved, as well as the materials and fit and finish. And like I said in the very beginning here, $60,000 for a base price for 707 horsepower. That is unheard of anywhere else in the world, because this car, it is the most powerful American production car of all time. And just look at it. It looks the part. This is a pure muscle car in every aspect. And I love this retro exterior design. If you compare it to, let's say, the Ford Mustang and the Chevrolet Camaro, both fantastic cars, but the most recent redesigns, they're more, well, modern. I mean, they still have design aspects of their ancestors, but this Challenger, it's just something else, and it's special. This is painted a blue pearl coat, and it's got these dual carbon stripes up on the trunk, the hood, and the roof. Those actually cost an extra $995. Well worth it, though. I don't think there is a bad angle of this car, and oftentimes I'm able to find some sort of criticism with the exterior design. There's absolutely nothing here. There's nothing wrong. It's perfect. I'm just going to say that right here, right now. This is automotive exterior design perfection. You also have these 20-inch aluminum wheels with these big Brembo brakes, because remember, 707 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. You gotta stop that somehow. You need big brakes. Also, take note that you see those Hellcat emblems right behind the front wheels. That's the only indication that this is a Hellcat. There is nowhere on the exterior does it say something like 707 horsepower or Hellcat or anything like that. You just have those emblems, and I think that's really cool. And this is the magic. This is a supercharged 6.2 liter V8. 707 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, and in this car, all that power is sent to the rear wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission, has paddle shifters. You can also get this with a 6-speed manual, but I think a lot of people are going for the 8 speeds these days. Just a little bit more, well, maybe a little more easier to drive in traffic. This interior, black leather. These are fully heated leather seats and cooled as well. Heated steering wheel. It's just an overall really nice place to be. And I think finally, compared to the 2008 Dodge Challenger that came out, its interior it almost looked like a rental car. The material quality was just hard plastics. It was plain. It was uninspiring. This looks the part of what the Dodge Challenger's interior should be. It matches that aggressive exterior. Maybe not aggressive, but it's just in your face presence. And some other creature comforts you get in the interior: 18-speaker premium sound system, 7-inch touchscreen, Laguna leather SRT seats, Bluetooth, GPS, backup camera, remote start. It's just a great daily driver, this car. It's not, I wouldn't classify this as like a big cruiser, because it's going to take off on you. And just put a little bit of pressure on the gas and you're going. So you got to know how to handle this. The rear seat, I have to say, is actually comfortable. There's not a lot of space, but a couple of adults can probably fit back there for a reasonable amount of time. But if they're over 6 feet, I probably, let them sit up front in that case. It's just a great blend of sport and luxury. It's not too luxurious, but it's also, it just suits the car. And I think Fiat Chrysler has done a good job with their interiors lately. I mentioned the same thing with my recent Dodge Dart unboxing review as well, but this car is very different than a Dodge Dart. But I want you to hear the sound just again. Oh man, I could really just listen to that all day, as I'm sure you probably already heard. Even at idle, this car it sounds like it wants to go fast, and that it does. So let's talk performance. Well, you are going to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 3.6 seconds. The quarter mile, 11.2 seconds at 125 miles per hour, and a top speed somewhere between 199 and 202 miles per hour. And that's really impressive, because it weighs about the same as a Dodge Grand Caravan, just about 4,500 pounds. And this is a 7-inch touchscreen. Real brief, it's Fiat Chrysler's Uconnect infotainment system. I think Uconnect is the best in the industry right now. Everything is very, very easy and simple to use. What's cool here is that this Uconnect allows you to manage all 707 horsepower. You can control the horsepower, the transmission, the traction, and suspension settings. And you can also set custom settings to your personal preference. And the computer will actually store them for you in order to give you easier access to them whenever you want. And for what it's worth, there is an eco mode, but whatever. Speaking of eco, fuel economy, 13 miles per gallon in the city, 22 on the highway, and a combined 16. There is actually a $1,700 gas guzzler tax for this car in California. I thought you should know that too. And I want to tell you a cool story about the development of the Hellcat engine itself. Before it was unveiled in 2014, the SRT powertrain development chief, he wanted to do a muscle car that was just unlike anything else in the market. And the initial target power output was 600 horsepower. But then he found out about Ford and its planned Mustang GT500. And that came to about 600 horsepower. So suddenly, the Hellcat engine needed to go even more powerful. So they upped the output goal to 675 horsepower while also trying to keep fuel efficiency in mind. Now, what the development chief did not tell his bosses, and he just kept this as an internal team secret, was that the real goal was 707 horsepower. They kept it a secret not just from their bosses, but also to the media. They didn't want any leaks, so that when this was fully revealed, the crowd just went nuts. And they still managed to stick to within that decent highway fuel economy of 22 miles per gallon. And that was about the goal all along with this initial 600 horsepower target goal. And I was also talking to Mark Drossel. He is the head of Dodge and SRT design. He was obviously in charge of styling this car. Well, I asked him what is his daily driver, and with a nice smile on his face, he told me it was this car, a Challenger Hellcat. But since he lives in the Detroit, Michigan area, I said, well, what do you drive during the winter? And he said, the Challenger Hellcat. I just swap in some winter tires instead. So there you go. You can drive this car year-round if you really wanted to. So with the 707 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, most powerful production car built in American car of all time. It's not actually built in America. It's produced in Canada. Little interesting you should know. But it's actually more powerful than the brand new Mustang Shelby GT500, 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. The brand new Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 that also has a supercharged V8 that has 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, which is actually the same output as a Chevy Corvette Z06. So let's go beyond the muscle car comparisons here. Just compared to Dodge's own Viper, this car has 67 more horsepower than that. The Viper has 640 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque, and that car costs $90,000. The Lamborghini Aventador, yes, I'm comparing this to a supercar. Aventador, 690 horsepower, 508 pound-feet of torque. That comes from a naturally aspirated V12, but that car is going to cost you around 400 grand minimum. Porsche 911 Turbo S, 552 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, minimum $200,000. Ferrari F12 Berlinetta, 730 horsepower and 509 pound-feet of torque, again naturally aspirated V12, $325,000 minimum. And another interesting thing that you should know, that Hellcat owners, they're given two different key fobs. The first one is the valet key, and whenever you use that, it restricts output. It basically caps it revs at 4,000 RPM, and it locks out first gear, and it puts the electronic stability control in full mode. And it also disables the paddle shifters for the 8-speed automatic cars, as well as launch control and drive mode functions. It sucks the fun out of the Hellcat. But if you go ahead and use the red key fob, you're given full access to everything this car is capable of. And another thing about the development process of it is that there was an internal debate as to how loud the supercharger and the exhaust should be. Let's just put it this way. The people wanted it to be quiet, they lost. So as I mentioned with pricing, the base price for a Challenger Hellcat is $62,495. This car with the optional 8-speed automatic, that costs about another $3,000. The power sunroof you saw, that's about an extra $2,000. Upgraded 20-inch wheels, those are $1,000, and that gas guzzler tax of $1,700. Along with destination, you're looking at this car right here, grand total $72,170, more powerful than a $400,000 Lamborghini Aventador, and that is so much fun to say. You know, to me, the Challenger Hellcat, it's the closest thing to a life-size Hot Wheels car. And as you even saw with the trunk, it's actually fairly usable on a daily basis. 60/40 split folding rear seats. So everyone, I'm out of time for today. Thanks for watching. Any questions for me, leave them in the comments section below. Any suggestions for future reviews, also leave in the comments section. And Stay tuned for the next episode of Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews. I'll see you next time.